David.
Hey Cam, how's it going?
Good, man. How about you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Tell me where you're located.
Augusta, Georgia.
Nice, nice. Been to Augusta many times, in fact.
Yeah.
This town.
For
So,
the Masters or for the other thing?
no, never for golf, but for I have a friend whose daughter lives there, and have picked her up a number of times on my way through in the airplane, and been to some cool places there. It's a fun town. I like it.
Yeah.
So congratulations. I know we just funded your first deal, and that's super exciting. I know it just happened in the last week or 10 days or something. And looks like the house was in Augusta. We funded 225,000. It looks like you made almost 59 grand, 58 and a half grand or so. Is that right?
A little less because we had to make an adjustment at closing. But it was 54,780. Yeah. So
Still an amazing payday.
yeah, no, I wasn't worried about so what happened was the attorney didn't. It was a rental property. It was a quadplex, and they didn't accommodate or adjust for the rents and the
that were
security
collected or
deposits.
due or
Yeah.
yeah.
And so we closed with the buyer first. And so I was like, whatever, I'm making good money anyway. Just take it out of my portion. But what's funny is if it had been a smaller deal, it would have hurt me, a lot.
Sure.
But we just didn't have the right paperwork between me and the seller. So
How many units was the property?
it was a quad, so 4. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So if the rents weren't prorated and adjusted in the closing, that's a bit of an oops.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, what it was is if I wanted to be a stickler about it, my contract with the seller was that they're prorated to me. My contract with the buyer didn't necessarily have that language, but it was more of a understood agreement that I had with them. And so the attorney was going by the letter of the offer, right? Which makes sense because that's what attorneys do. But I was like, just take it out of mine, and it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. So
yeah, well, like you said, if it was a smaller profit margin, you might have responded.
Yeah,
a
I would
little
have pushed.
differently.
I would have pushed. I would have, yeah. But I had a good rapport with the buyer, and the buyer literally told me, he said, "Just bring me more of these." So I was like, I'm not going to mess that up. So yeah.
Was it a just an individual investor, or was it a bigger?
The seller was an individual investor. He had bought
what about
it.
the buyer?
The buyer is it's kind of like a father-son team.
Gotcha.
So a father and his 2 sons. One of the sons is a real estate agent, and apparently they've been buying anything above 2 units for several years.
Nice.
So yeah. So they're like, bring me, duplexes, triplexes, quads, apartments, mobile home parks. I was like, okay, will do. So
there you go. I've always said that, once you get going, 1 or 2 good buyers, and you're off to the races.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I've always said is, when you do right by your buyer, they'll say something to the effect of, "Now, don't you tell anybody else about your deals until you tell me first," right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, it's my first it's my first true wholesale deal, and definitely my first deal with your funds. But I've done like fix and flips, and I've done sort of like hotel deals.
yeah.
But I've always taken ownership and then figured out what I'm going to do with it. So this is like the first time I did more of a true wholesale.
How'd it feel?
A lot better than taking ownership and hoping.
A lot easier anyway, right?
Yeah, because usually I'd take ownership and I'm like, man, I hope I can get rid of this thing. And then I usually do like a cleanup or a little bit of landscaping or just like a little bit of minor work. And with this, it was a fully occupied unit, so there wasn't really anything I could do other than hold it a couple of years. And I just knew the numbers, especially in today's market, were there. And so I was like, I'll just take the money now. So
yeah, good for you. That's exciting. How's that gonna impact you? That nice big paycheck.
Well, it definitely makes probably the biggest thing is it makes me more confident, right? I mean, I've been doing this, I would say, off and on for 10 years, right? And what I've done is I've done like a fix and flip every couple of years. And I've done maybe a retail, wholesale type deal probably about the same, about every couple of years. And because I've never felt like I can do wholesaling full time, so I still work my normal job. And so this deal was like, man, I guess it is possible. You just got to find the right deals and be consistent. And that's what I haven't been. I haven't been consistent. So
Well, the journey starts with one nice big step, and there it is. So good for you. That's
and
super
what's
exciting.
I have the coaching calls with Todd, right? And so I've been talking about the fix and flip that I've been working on, that I keep track of my hours, and because it's me and my dad, we're doing the work, and we're keeping track of the hours and stuff like that. And I'm looking at the hours, the 5 hours of work I put into making, 50,000. And I'm like, I'm over here making, not too bad, like $100 an hour maybe on the fix and flip. And I'm over here making $10,000 an hour on the wholesale deal. And I'm so like, I gotta get this fix and flip done so I can focus on more wholesale deals. So yeah.
Well, good for you. That's super exciting. So I guess the funding is what made it work for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird deal in that, like, when I first talked to Todd, he wasn't even sure if you guys could do it, because my end buyer was getting bank financing.
Oh,
And so then I called the funding department, and she's like, yeah, we've done like a handful of those. And she kind of walked me through
my funding department.
Yep.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, and she kind of walked me through like what would need to happen for bank financing to work. I talked to the attorney and I talked to the buyer's bank, and they all seemed sort of on board with it. But there was a lot of anxiety there still for me, because I was like, well, what if it doesn't work, So I had some contingency plans, but yeah, having the funding definitely saved me, some money, obviously, over other funding or other getting a hard money loan.
Sure. Yeah. So typically the way that lender would refer to the deal would be a short title, right? So here they are looking at funding a deal for their borrower, your buyer, and they see you or your entity on the contract, but you're not on title.
Right.
When they look at the title, they're saying, well, wait a minute, here's David's, Real Estate Inc., and it's owned by your seller. And so they'll put that together and say, okay, all right, we know what's going on here. It's a wholesale deal. And they're generally, their internal term would be a short title. It's a short title deal. And some lenders will do them and some won't. And clearly this one was willing to. And can you tell me a little bit about that lender? Was it a small a private lender, a regional lender, big national lender? What was
No,
it?
it's a smaller bank here in Georgia.
Local bank.
Yeah, it was First State out of Rennes, Georgia. And I think I'm just looking them up. I think they're a single branch type of branch.
So there's an excellent chance that their intention was to portfolio the loan, meaning hold it in their portfolio, not sell it off.
Yeah, the buyer pretty much said they do all their deals through the bank. So I think they hold all their loans there.
Yeah. So the thing with that is that, if they're not reselling those loans, the bank will run out of money eventually. But and they know it. So they're usually picky about the buyers they're willing to finance, and then the properties that they want to hold in their portfolio, or, the loans on those properties. And so good for you. You hit it. And clearly, if that buyer's working with that lender in the future, you I'm sure be able to do the same thing again.
Yeah, well, what the buyer said is, I guess they own some apartment buildings or complexes. I wasn't exactly sure. And essentially what they did, I'm not sure how they did it on the bank side, but the bank pulled money out of the apartments or something like that, because they wanted to make sure they weren't over leveraged. And I was like, I don't know what you guys are doing. Just give me an approval letter.
Oh, I bet they cross collateralized.
Okay.
So they might have named one of his other properties in the note and mortgage or deed of trust in Georgia, I think it is. And they might have named two properties as collateral on the one loan.
Okay.
Especially if they hold a loan on the other property, it starts to make all kinds of sense to do that from an internal perspective. I've seen that done before. In fact, I have I hold a loan that is cross collateralized with 9 properties. So it's a way to create a little bit of a safer, it's a way to make the loan safer for the lender, because now if the borrower defaults on either property, they can go and get both.
Right. They got some recourse. Okay.
That may be what they did. It wouldn't surprise me if that were the case.
Yeah.
So
The buyer, I asked him, I was like, I kept asking him, like, everything good? Cause he kind of went silent on me there for a little bit. And he's like, yeah, we're just waiting on the appraisal. The only thing they were worried about was the appraisal. The appraisal came back at 311 and, the contract was 285. So,
not much to worry about there.
Yeah. When he told me the appraisal, I held my tongue. I was like, it sounds like I need to ask for more money.
Yeah.
But
well, you know what? That probably helps cement the deal, because now the buyer feels good, the lender feels good. You're getting what you wanted. Everybody, it was a giant win across the board. Right? Win.
Yeah,
So.
it was a good one. And it's funny, I found the deal. I was telling Todd this. I found the deal on Facebook. It's crazy. I spend all this money on direct mail, and direct mail right now is kind of worse than maybe normal. It's like hit or miss. And literally, I just found this on Facebook, and it had been posted for 2 days. And you know how the market is. If there's a deal posted on the MLS or something, it's gone like an hour later. This wasn't posted MLS. It was for sale by owner. And I just messaged the guy and I had it under contract that same day. But I was lucky in a way to even, that it was still available.
Now, was that on Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha.
That's for what I could tell, that's the only place he had it marketed. So,
it's a great tool. I mean, not just as a buyer, but as a seller, and not just of real estate, of anything.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was on there looking for dishwashers of all things.
No way.
Yeah. And down below the dishwashers in the like suggested posts, because I do look at houses on there, it was like a quad. And I was like, oh, wow. And I clicked on it. The guy wanted 250. I messaged him, I just kind of sent him a blind offer. And he just accepted it without any counter. I was like, man, I should ask for, but I knew the numbers were there. So again, I wasn't overly worried about it, because,
I mean, that's one of those irrefutable truths that if you make an offer and the seller accepts it without countering, it was too high.
Yeah. But because my plan, I was like 235, 225, 217. Like I was trying to figure it out, and I was like, I'll just go 225. And I made it a weird number, 224, 698 to you make it like there was a lot of thought,
Yeah, I wonder where you heard that. Yeah.
I wonder.
That's funny. Cool. So what was motivating the seller, by the way?
I think he was trying to get some cash out to buy, because his realtor actually called me and said, hey, how solid is this deal that you have to buy his property? So he was looking to get cash out so he could buy another property. I think it was for personal, like a personal home. And I knew his realtor because I had used his realtor in the past. So he was just kind of asking me how solid my deal was.
So it was listed or
no. My seller was his buyer, the realtor's buyer, for another property.
Gotcha. And so out of a concern that would close, he came to you just to say, hey, are you real?
I think his offer, my seller's offer, I think it had one of those, like, when I sell this property, I can buy your property.
A contingency where, the offer on the house he was buying was contingent on the sale of the quad. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't blame the realtor for reaching out at all.
Yeah, because he got, I don't know, like 90,000 cash out of the deal or something like that.
Nice.
And he was putting that into just a new home, I guess.
Gotcha. How was it working with my funding team?
Oh, it was great. Like I said, I had a little bit of anxiety just because of the bank, the mortgage piece of it, because it was a little bit a nuance. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty seamless. I pretty much didn't have to do anything, which also made me nervous, because I was like, I guess they're doing everything I need to do, but there wasn't a whole lot for me to do other than upload all the documents, which, the portal itself made it super easy, and then them just running with it from there, of course, made it that much simpler. But yeah, everybody was great. And they,
Yeah.
like, when I called and I had all that anxiety, I was like, they always reassured me and stuff. They're like, yeah, I can call the attorney if, you need me to make sure, but yeah, we're good. So they did do that a couple of times, I think.
Well, good. Yeah, they're certainly good at what they do. It's Julia runs the team, and then
Yeah,
you
Julia's who I
probably dealt
talked
with
to a couple of
Bianca
times.
or both.
I think I've seen Bianca through email, and I actually talked to Julia on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so we funded, the first deal we ever funded was in June of 2009, and it was in Ohio. So, we've been doing this a while.
Yeah.
And we're pretty good at it. And sometimes the trickiest part for us is getting the closing agent to understand that we're funding this deal without any fees, because they'll say, all right, we're going to need a disbursement agreement from you so that we can get your fees and stuff in the HUD-1 settlement statement. And we say, oh, there's no fees.
Mhm.
And then the closing agent will say, let me ask it again another way, because clearly I must not have asked it right. and then we're like, no, seriously, there's no fees. And they're like, dang, all right, well, if you okay. And then what'll happen is, it doesn't happen, every day, but it does happen, is we'll have closing agents like this attorney who will refer a client to us who they're doing a similar deal for, who's paying a whole bunch of money. And they'll say, well, there's this outfit that does it for nothing. And so
yeah, that's funny.
now, of course, you do have to be a member of the Real Estate Wealth Network family to have access to that.
Yeah.
But at a 2-point typical fee, man, you might, if you have a good relationship, you might get a little less, but that would have cost you about $4,500.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, I've done coaching with other groups, and every other group always talks about, like, use this transactional funding, and it's always like at minimum 1%. And if you're going to do a deal, the fee of doing one deal is like less than the fee of your software, right? Which,
Yeah, exactly.
it's almost like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And now that
Yeah.
I'm in the coaching program, which is a little bit more, but once you pay that initial fee, the monthly fee is still kind of a no-brainer, because it's like, well, I got access to everything now. So so that's awesome. And then just, to me, it's like got that motivational piece, the almost like believing that you can do it. Like, that's probably the hardest part for me, because I have all the tools, I know what to do. It just, sometimes it's easy to just go to work and get that check. It's hard to spend a bunch of money on marketing and hope you're going to get that money back, is kind of the mental barrier that I sometimes struggle with.
And sometimes you spend a bunch of money on marketing and you find a deal on Facebook Marketing.
Yeah. No, I'm going to take some of that money and I'm going to hit up literally every multifamily in the market to see if, I can find this guy some
more.
Because multifamily is not a huge market. So it's easy to, I think it's like 1,000 houses or 1,000 properties or something that
in your general area there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's an easy list to hit. And the market's gone up so much that some of these buy and hold type investors, they might not even know what they could get for it right now. Right. And I think that's why this guy posted it where he posted it, because he's thinking, man, I'm going to make, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on this thing. And he's fine with that.
And he probably saved about 12 or 14,000 in commissions too.
Oh yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, he would have paid like 25 or something in closing, because I covered closing costs and all that kind of stuff as well. So he didn't really have to cover nothing, because, I usually make that part of my offer. I'll cover all closing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he easily saved, 6 to 9% for sure.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I guess that's all I've really got. I just enjoy getting with folks like you who we've funded deals for, because it's exciting for you and it's exciting for us. And then you know, like, for example, this conversation will get shared with my team and they'll all, you know, they'll be like, you know, so it's so good. And then of course, before that even happens, Julia sends, there it is. Julia sends this around when we fund deals. And of course, you're right on here and it tells us about, you know, it's your first deal that we funded for you. And then, you know, where the property is and how much we funded and how much you made. And
Yeah.
boy, there's just no better way to keep my team inspired and humbled than that. And then these calls take it to the next level. So thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'm psyched that you've sort of broken down maybe, if nothing else, a mental barrier for yourself. And I hope it's like the dam breaking open for you, and that I see your name on the list a whole bunch more times.
Yeah. Well, for sure, because I think it was like a month ago, Todd, on one of the calls, he ran through like your funding, right? And he was like, you know, this guy did a deal, this guy did a deal, this guy did a deal, and he was going through like the list. And I was thinking, it was almost about the same time that I got this under contract, and I was thinking, I'm gonna be on that list, you know, soon.
You are now on that list.
Yeah. And then when he shared it with the you know, with the group, of course, I think it was good for them to see someone in their group was doing a deal, because they were like, oh man, that's awesome. And you know, a lot of the other, because I've jumped groups a lot with Todd and the timing and stuff. And this group seems to like have a better almost more community feel to it, where some of the other groups, it was like, I'm going to talk about me and my deal. This one, we're a little bit better cohort, I guess you might say, but I think it was good for the team.
Yeah, you
but
know,
yeah,
that's fine. And we do move people periodically just to keep it fresh and
yeah,
you know, to try and, you know, put like-minded people together. So
yeah,
and that's why it's called mastermind, right? If you want to be with like-minded people who are willing to give and take, not just take. And so that's the beauty of mastermind. So would you recommend our mentorship program to anyone who was thinking about joining?
yeah. No, I definitely would. I mean, I went to, like, when you were doing a lot of events and stuff, man, I used to go to the events all the time, and I've almost always had the software like from the events, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I never did the coaching, because it's a lot of money, right, up front for someone who's, you know, not doing deals, right? But I think having that weekly touch point, not just the software, but that like weekly touch point and all the support that goes behind it, can get you through that mental barrier stuff, especially as you see other people in your group doing deals. And it almost in a way could become like motivation, because it's like, well, you know, I remember this guy 3 months ago, he wasn't doing any deals, and now he's doing a deal. So, you know, it kind of helps with that, if nothing
Sure.
else. And then, you know, it's just all the other resources you guys do. And then honestly, when this invite came through from Bianca, like, it was kind of like a little nice extra ad that I didn't even know you guys did. I was like, oh, I get
we don't tell anybody.
yeah. And she's like, if you want to. I was like, if I want to, why wouldn't I want to? So,
Well, I'm sure you're very disappointed now to learn that I'm just a normal, regular doofus like everybody else, right?
yeah. You know, it's like you meet with a Cam, and then I get on, and it's like, you know, some like intern or something. I'm like, wait, I thought this, you know, because a lot of times it's like, you know, you hear the name, and then it's not the name you go see.
Right. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't play that. We don't play that game. And by the way, you know, with regard to the investment that you made or someone makes to come into our mentorship programs, you know, because you've been involved in others, the investment you make to come into our program is a lot less than a lot of the other ones out
yeah,
there.
no, for sure, yeah.
It's a much easier decision, and it's easier to make it back, right?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
I mean, I'll tell you this, because I've gone through some smaller, I've never done like the $50,000 level or whatever that some of those places have, but I've done like the 5,000 type jumpstart type programs. And you know, which isn't much less than what I paid for you guys. So the entry point, you know, isn't isn't that bad. But what I was saying is like from a newbie, anything above say 5-10,000 seems like a lot, right?
Yeah.
But I've gone through like $5,000 programs where it literally is talking to like a telemarketer, or here's
Cubicle
some
coaches, we
scripts,
call them.
and that just, and it's always like a short term thing. It's like $5,000 for like 3 months or something, or $5,000 for like 6 months. What I really liked, and honestly the main, maybe not the main reason, but one of the big reasons I did the program that I did with you guys is because it wasn't like a defined term. It was a defined term and then a reasonable, very reasonable monthly fee to continue, right? And
So
I
it
don't
never
think,
ends. It
yeah, that never ends. And
unless you want it to end.
right. And at that point, it's like a no-brainer, because the monthly is not bad at all.
And
Whereas
you
other,
keep everything. You get everything so it's not like you lose things. It's all everything's still there.
yeah, what I mean is like the other groups are like 50,000 and you get all this for a year, and then if you want another year, it's like another 50,000. Like, wait, what? So
wait, what?
Or worst case, which is what happened to me, half my coaching calls were about an upsell to the next level, and so I think there's two groups. There's your group, and I know Larry Goins as well. I've done some training with him. He's probably the other guy that I follow or joined some of his stuff. I actually use his 1-page contract just because it's simpler. But and he's close. He's in South Carolina or North Carolina, so
he's getting out of the business.
Yeah. I've noticed that, because he's the way his emails have read, and I've sort of noticed that. But those are like you and him. Those are the two guys that I've mostly followed, that I feel better about. I don't know about some of the other groups. I don't know how I feel about them, but
Yeah, I hear you.
But I did do the tax thing that that you had sent out, like an affiliate of, with Jason Lucchese.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did do that as well. So I'm going to be doing some tax lien type stuff.
Oh, good. By the way, I assume you're aware that the motivated seller data feed now includes, for you as a mentorship student, now includes land and commercial.
Yep.
So you'll be able to find, if you said you were going to look for other apartment deals for your buyer. The residential tool goes up to 4 families, 4 family properties. The commercial tool will go above that. So if you wanted to find a 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 60, whatever unit, you now have, where the seller has at least one motivation, you now have that data available.
Okay. Well, yeah, someone was mentioning, I guess Josh did a training that's posted in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I need that a watch, because he goes through it. But you'll see, as when you log in, one of the and you go to the filters, one of the choices near the top is residential, land, commercial, and you as a mentorship student get access to all 3, where a typical subscriber, not to disparage that, of course, but a typical subscriber who's not part of the mentorship program would actually have to pay an additional cost to have access to those.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. I just thought it was an upgrade to the
software itself. The land is $100 additional, and the commercial is $200 additional. You've got both. So right there, just those 2 items are worth more than your monthly.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, what's funny is when you do a deal like I just did, it's like, sometimes you're paying for something and you think like, am I going to renew? Which I haven't really felt with you guys. But if anything, it makes it seem like, okay, I think I'm good for a while.
Yeah. Well, you clearly are, and congratulations on that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think, I think in the past, just when I was more struggling with the motivational side, like like in the business, every little cost is like, what do I do with this? But it's something I've almost consistently always had, even though it's not something I've consistently used, because it's almost like I don't want to cancel. This is back when I just had the software. I don't want to cancel the software, because then I felt like I would just give up. So it almost was a good thing to have that monthly expense because it was like, all right, if I'm paying for this, I need to do something with it. And I think
Yeah.
the mentorship program, and I think I've even had, I don't know if you've said this, but I know like some of the trainings I've gone to, they say, yeah, the problem with the low entry coaching is you don't have enough stake in it. Whereas when you do like a higher entry, it's like, I gotta make this work, because otherwise I just threw away, 10 grand or whatever, 20 grand. And I think that's somewhat true, because to me, it's like, all right, if I'm paying for this every month, I need to start using it. And there was a while I kind of dropped out of the joining the coaching calls because I was so busy on the fix and flip. And I was like, I got to get back on those calls, because I can't be just doing fix and flips. I gotta do something else, because this thing's killing me. It is gonna make a lot of money. I'm gonna make a good amount of profit, like more than the wholesale deal on the fix and flip, but it's taken so much time. So
Yeah.
so I definitely appreciate all the resources and your team and the calls with Todd, and I used to jump on the virtual calls quite a bit. I thought about getting back into those, because I've noticed that you've added a couple things there as well in the Vulture,
Which ones are they?
the virtual like wholesaling.
Oh, the multi-day event.
No, there's like, I don't know, 12 modules I think now.
Oh, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
virtual wholesale mastery.
Yeah, I thought about
Yeah.
jumping on some of those weekly calls just to
You should, because
know.
I'll tell you what, they are done by Lou and Serge, and different perspectives are valuable. You've
Yeah.
got access. You literally have access. I have exactly 4 mentors on our team, and you have access to all of them. And I'd encourage you to get on those calls just to get a little different take on stuff, because that, and I'm sure you have them all the time, where you have this like this moment of just utter clarity. It's like those aha moments. I love those. I hope I have one every day somehow, somewhere. And when you hear things from a different perspective and through a different lens, those moments of clarity come.
Yeah. I know when I first joined, and I was going a lot through the virtual stuff. I think Angela was on there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, she does the hotline, or the helpline as we call it,
okay.
mostly now. So if you're inclined to call on helpline, she does it, and she and Serge do it.
Okay.
But that's a way to get with her and literally have her, one-on-one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know I've been on there with Angela and Lou. I don't think I've been on one of Serge's calls.
Serge is awesome. Wait
Yeah.
till you get to know him. He lives in Montreal, and it's Canadian. Yeah, and he does deals here in the US and has for years. He was a student like you, and ascended to the rank of mentor. And like you've heard me talk about that, our program is designed to turn you into a monster investor, provided you're willing to do the work.
Right.
And it's also designed to be a path to being a mentor yourself, if that's something that's really in your heart. So he's that, Angela is that, and Todd and Lou were in the business before I ever met him, but Todd's been with me the longest. I mean, I think we might be at 12 years. He was just literally here in this house last weekend. In fact,
Oh, really?
Angela was here, Todd was here.
Oh, that's right. You guys had the retreat thing, right?
Yes, we do an annual mentor retreat. Now, Serge didn't come because he's being held captive by his little.
Yeah, Canada won't let people out. They're being crazy.
I didn't realize Canada was a dictatorship, but apparently it is.
Yeah, because the company I work for, we were trying to do like a gathering, and we had somebody in Canada, and they weren't allowed to leave.
Yeah, it has to do with vaccination, and they I guess they feel like they can tell people what to do with their bodies, and
Yep.
There's a big contingency of folks in Canada that are just not having it. They're just not having it.
Hey, so do you guys know, or you should know, right? Do you know the timing of the event, this year? Or I know like last year.
Oh, yes, it is planned for November. You're talking about the mentorship retreat.
Yeah. Yep.
So what we just did was the mentor retreat. So there's
Okay.
a difference. We discussed that. It is, we're planning on doing it in November in Orlando.
Okay. Cool.
So you'll get to hear all about that. And what a great opportunity to come and, meet these guys face to face. One way or another, Serge is going to get there. If we have to go get him.
Yeah.
I say that with great confidence, but it could turn out I'm full of crap. Who knows? But anyway, but it's a great opportunity, and I'm glad to hear you're interested in joining us. It's so fun. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was, I guess a little disappointed last year with the timing. And
no,
I mean, I know how it is with, the never ending COVID. So, then of course the state of the world today with, inflation and everything else. But, how big are those events usually? I've always been curious.
The under 100.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so not huge. We're talking about possibly combining it with another event and run them kind of back to back. I'm not sure if it's going to play out that way, but either way, there'll be a period where it's strictly the mentorship students and us, in a small group, and so it's high level, learning, high level networking, high level relationship building.
Okay, cool. Hopefully I'll get a few more deals in by then. And
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna count on that now.
Yeah. No, like I said,
heard
I'm gonna do some marketing. I'm gonna, like, I have like a almost more of a game plan as far as like I need to, because I like Facebook, which is a good example. I look at Facebook every once in a while, but just happening to stumble upon that deal made me realize I need to just spend like 5 minutes just checking that thing every morning, because who knows when another deal is just gonna be there.
Exactly.
A $50,000 deal is just gonna be right there. Didn't cost me anything. Whereas otherwise you spend 5,000 on marketing and your fingers crossed that one of those leads is going to be good. So I have kind of a game plan to do some of the basic free stuff like Craigslist, Facebook.
Practice the basics, man.
Yeah.
It's a good strategy.
Yeah. So yeah, fingers crossed. I'll have a few more deals come your way, and I'll definitely be using the funding for that. So.
Good. Well, it's there for you, and my team is on your team, as you know.
Yep.
And thank you very much for joining me. And let's both get back to our crazy busy days.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Cam. I appreciate it.
All right, David. See you.
Yep. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.